Hello my dear students, today in this video class we are going to discuss chapter 1 history, French Revolution. The topics which we shall cover today, that are the society of France during the 18th century, and second will be the struggle to survive. So first of all, a recap of this chapter, French Revolution. My dear students, on 14 July 1789, there was a prison in the France. The name of that prison was Bastille. That Bastille prison was destroyed by the group of men and women who were protesting against the king. And this date, 14 July 1789, is of great importance in the history of the world. Why? Because before this, there were the dynastic rules. So what were the dynastic rules? There were the rule of the king as well as queens or monarch, nobles, etc., who were governing on their specific geographical area, and their words were the rule for them. Or in other words, we can say that they were the god of their territories. Whatever was told by them, that people have to follow anyhow. But in this year, it was the first country of the world, France, where people didn't want the existing rulers, or they didn't want the rule of the king or the monarch. They decided that there will be a form of the government which will be established on the basis of the majority of the population, and there will be a contract among the people as well as the government. So what was that contract? One thing is clear. If people are choosing any individual to run the country or to govern the area, it is the responsibility of that individual that he do some work of the betterment for the people. And earlier times such type of practices were not going on. King or the nobles or the monarchs who were governing the areas, they were giving less attention on the welfare work, and their only motive was to collect the revenue or collect the taxes in all the possible way from the peasants, from the workers as well as the common people. Their only motto was to fill up their treasury. So this was a little bit recap. Now we are going to see what were the reasons which were responsible for the French Revolution in the history of the world, or why people of the France revolted. So first is the society of the France during the 18th century. In other words, we can say this was the main cause of the revolution. Why? Let's see. During the 18th century, the society of the France was divided into the three states, or for understanding purpose we can say three categories. The categories were first, second and third. First state or first category was consist of the church members. In the book it is given clergy. So clergy means those individuals who are belonging from the church. Second was consisted of the nobility. In the nobility there were the king, officials as well as the relatives. Third one was of the common people. In the common people, two groups were there. Educated groups as well as the uneducated groups. In the educated groups, there were the people who were involved in the different type of professions like the doctor, teacher, court officials, lawyer, merchant, businessman, etc. Those group of the third state who were uneducated, in that there were mostly the peasants as well as the workers. Now, the 90% of the land holding, 90% of the country's population was of the third state, but in their hand there were the only 40% of the property. 60% land holdings or the property of the state were under the control of the clergy as well as the nobility. These members of the clergy and nobility or first and second states were enjoying a lot of privileges on the basis of their birth. So privileges means benefit from their birth. They were not allowed or they were not required to pay any type of taxes. They got free service from the workers as well as peasants, and beside all these things, they also received a lot of offering and gifts from the members of the third state. The condition of the people of the third state was too much worst. Why? Because it were the members of the third state only who were the who were having the burden to run the economy of the country. Or in other words, we can say only their contribution was there so that economy of the France was running in a proper way. How they were contributed in running of the economy? By paying the taxes. There were two types of direct taxes, and beside that a number of indirect taxes were there. So the direct taxes were two. One was the tithe and the other was the tax. Tithe was a tax which was taken by the church, and this was 1/10 of the total production of the grains. Second tax, which name was tale, that was directly taken by the state. Besides these two direct taxes, there were a number of indirect taxes which were also paid by the members of the third state, and these indirect taxes were levied or were added in the daily commodities of the life, such as the sugar, tobacco, salt, wheat, bread. So these all situations infuriated or angered the people of the third state. At the same time, fake news occurred that king ordered the troops, means king ordered the army, and that army is about to destroy the crops of the country. So this also infuriated the people. Now one more thing, as we discussed about the king. So at that time, the king of the France was Louis XVI. Yes, Louis XVI was belonging from the Bourbon dynasty. More about the king we shall discuss in the next video class. So this was the structure of the society. Now second thing, the struggle to survive. What happened in this struggle to survive? As I have already told you that there was a fake news that king was about to call the army and that army will destroy the crops of the country. Before this, the condition of the third state was already very poor. What was happening during the tenure of the old regime? So this is also a very important term. What was old regime? All the society and institutions of the France before the year of 1789 were regarded as the old regime. So what happened in the struggle to survive? In the struggle to survive, a situation which was known as the subsistence crisis. That situation occurred frequently. What is subsistence crisis? Subsistence crisis is a situation in which an individual is unable to earn the basic necessities of the life, or in other words we can say when individuals' basic needs are not being fulfilled, that is a subsistence crisis condition. So what happened? From the year of 1715 to 1789, there was a great increase in the population of the France. What was that? In 1715 there were 23 million people, and in 1789 it became 28 million. Means there was the increase in the there was the increase of the 5 million people in the population. And comparison to the increasing population, production didn't increase. That's why the cost of the basic necessary things increased too much. And this increase in the price or this increase in the cost directly affected to the members of the third state. Why? Because members of the third state were not having of the good economic status. Besides that, they have to pay the taxes. Many of them were the workers, peasants, or some peoples were employed into the local areas where they were getting the fixed wages. So when prices increased, their wages didn't increase, na? Their wages were same. So now it was hard for them to survive. And at the same time, as already I told that there was a fake news that king was about to call the troops. So this fake news of king is calling the troops, and second one, the situation of the subsistence crisis added the misery of the people and resulted in the revolution of 14 July 1789. Now, who were the people who initiated for the revolution or who started the revolution? And as well as some more causes about this, we shall discuss in the next video class. Till that time, bye.